the management at Delta Corp is now joining us. Mr. Hardik, Group CFO at Delta Corporation, is with us. Sir, good afternoon. Thank you so much for taking out time for us. Quarter after quarter, the company has been delivering steady profit growth. This time around, what drove the 25% profit growth that you have delivered?
Good afternoon, Pankaj. Thanks for having us on air. While you appreciate the fact that we have been demonstrating this kind of growth, and not only quarter after quarter, but I think we have compounded annual growth rate for the last decade or so, been at the 25% rate. And this is something which we attribute to the fact that the industry that we are in is so nascent, and it is in such an infancy at this point of time that this is only the beginning, and these kind of growth rates is something which we believe will continue for a long time to come. This quarter per se, or this year per se, we have seen very robust visitations growth happening to the casino in Goa. Just to give you a flavor, we had about 300,000 people who visited the casino in the last financial year ending March 18, which has grown to roughly about 415,000 this year. So we've about a 40% growth rate, growth in the footfalls, which obviously results into larger revenue streams. And with a country like India with 1.2 billion people around, getting 400,000 visitations is just scratching the surface. So I believe as a management of Delta Corp, we have always said that the potential to grow and the opportunity is immense, and we'll continue to demonstrate this hopefully for year after year.
Right. So, when we have interacted earlier, a few years back, you've always mentioned that the company is in an investment phase, the company is investing into higher capacity. Can you just now give us that picture as the volumes are increasing? Will that investment start to pay off?
Well, I would rather say that the investment has already started to pay off for the last couple of years, for sure, given that we have had no or minimal kind of capital investment in our existing businesses. Obviously, there is growth capital which will keep on getting invested, whether it is a new territory or a new product that we would like to launch. When I say a new product, as in a larger boat, which we may look at, given that the growth rate is such, and we would want to capitalize on the potential and the future of this business. And so we may have some capital expenditure happening in the future in terms of changing a smaller boat to a larger boat, or adding newer locations, like we added Sikkim a couple of years ago. We are now looking to add Nepal in the next 60 to 90 days. The operations in our Nepal casino will also commence. So while we are not on an extensive capital spend spree as we were before 2013-14, but I think on and off we will have some smaller capital expenses. But by and large, for the last 3-4 years, there has been no major capital spent, and I think the results are speaking for themselves, and the capital expenditure or the capital invested in the last few years by Delta is now actually being kind of rewarded.
In the first answer, you mentioned about that you will get the benefits of higher higher clients which will come into your different various locations that you have. What happens in terms of operating leverage in your industry? Can you just give our viewers a flavor of that? How often do you take price hikes for entry? What is the benefits of these price hikes? Does that completely drive down to the bottom line, which means margins have an uptick in terms of percentage?
Honestly, Pankaj, there is a very minimal change that we have done in our pricing from an entry perspective, and I don't recollect a major price increase that we have done in the last 2-3 years. The reason is, the visitation growth itself is such that it fuels and doesn't warrant an immediate increase. With regards to the operating leverage per se, this business, as everyone has seen, is a very high operating leverage business, and every additional rupee or every additional dollar that is earned, at least 50 to 55% of that translates into profitability. So with the larger number of visitations, with larger number of venues and destinations that we are able to cater at, and with the larger number of visitations happening, you will obviously see the EBITDA margins and the profitability margins only growing from where they are.
Last word, which the capex that you mentioned, which has been very minimal in the last few years. Company has been quite active when it comes to online gaming as well. Can you just give us a picture of that? What stage is online gaming into India, and how do you expect that part to grow or that investments to grow?
Well, honestly, if the casino industry or the gaming industry per se in India as a whole is in the infancy and a nascent stage, online gaming would be even more incumbent, if I may say so, and therefore even that is a space which we believe has immense potential to grow. If you see our numbers of March 19 over March 18, we have actually grown about 30% there too. And I think we are nowhere near or not even scratching the surface there given the internet penetration. And you have all been seeing reports very recently in the newspapers where YouTube says India is the largest market. Google says that the traffic on Google and Google AdWords has increased. If all this is true, then online gaming obviously has to grow in line with the internet penetration and the internet, the data usage going up and larger areas getting covered. So that's a space which is to look out for, and we believe that we are there at the right time. We have the presence, and we will take the opportunity as and when it comes to make sure that we grow every line of our business fruitfully and in a robust way.
Hi Hardik, Nayanthara Rai here in New Delhi. I'm just going to pick up from what you said. You will use every opportunity. Now Delta has used inorganic growth to be in a lot of streams. You did Adda 52 for example. You've now got that Fantasy League Hull play. It's a big year. The IPL is on. You're going to have the Cricket World Cup. Can we expect you to carry on like this? Will inorganic growth be very, very important? It's also a big year for you because it's an election year. If there is one overhang which ever exists on the Delta Corp stock, it's just the political nature that exists with respect to gambling and casinos. How big a worry or concern is that too?
So fortunately, Nayanthara, let me address the last part of the question first. Fortunately for the business that we are in, it is the state which matters more than the center. Not as a country and as a citizen of the country, whether individual or corporate, obviously the national elections do matter. But from a business perspective, it is the state elections that are important because, as we are all aware, this is a state subject and not a federal subject. So while yes, it will have its overhang in forms of the restrictions that one has to follow given that the elections are across the country. But other than that, there is no major overhang with regards to what happens in the national election on Delta's business per se. Having said that, as far as inorganic growth is concerned, this is something which we have always said, that every opportunity we examine and we evaluate, and every opportunity that comes our way, we are always keen to look at a possibility whether it adds to our top line and bottom line, and whether it is synergistic to our business, and if it results into those boxes being ticked, then we obviously pursue it. We may not be successful every time, but we definitely would not let it go by without having examined it. And you said you gave a couple of examples, and Adda 52, which happened in 2016-17, was a very, very fruitful acquisition, so to say. We have seen growth in that business, and we believe that's where the growth will continue for many, many more years to come.
And with that, Hardik, we'll thank you for joining us here on Delta on ET Now. That's Delta for you, down by about 0.8% in trade at the moment.